What's up, YouTube? Absolute here with a update video of my next Stampede two-wheel drive build. As I do with my other Stampedes, I build them from the ground up, which I'll talk about in just a moment. Reason for this build is essentially a third Stampede. My family, I've discovered, has really enjoyed my trucks. Had a really good time with them, taking off jumps and such. And also, I also really enjoyed that, driving with my dad, my brother-in-law, who might end up buying one himself. And so it's been a really good time. So I wanted to build another one for our family to drive. I do have a fourth one that's a stalker that I may show you guys, but it's not something too crazy special. It's just a stock two-wheel drive Stampede that I will be letting my nieces drive, who are also desperate to drive one. They're really young too as well, so I know it's gonna be stock, and then I replace with all the broken extra stock parts that I got. And the biggest thing is I have a lot of RC experience now. I read up a lot. I constantly watch videos and read RC news and media. I listen to Cooking with Nitro. Have been for not too long now. I'm a big participant of forums. Some of you guys have seen me on YouTube and then gone and see me on the forums and have mentioned that to me. And I don't have a crazy huge experience. I haven't owned a bunch of RCs. I mean, the RCs I have owned have been super limited. But one thing I do know, what I'm saying here is I don't know a bunch of RCs. One thing I do know is that the Stampede two-wheel drive is definitely one of the best basher trucks, period. And I'm willing to throw that down with anybody. That being said, that definitely comes with a asterisk at the bottom of that, at the end of that sentence, because the Stampede two-wheel drive from Traxxas does not come anywhere close to that. Anywhere close to my statements, and I would take it back in a heartbeat. Our RC Squid had a two-wheel drive shootout. I think Stampede took last place to like exceed in some other truck. And so, it's a two-wheel drive Stampede. It is not something that's crazy special. It's an awesome truck still. It's an awesome beginner truck, and it's an awesome advanced person truck. And there's not that many excellent monster trucks out there. That being said, myself and a group of other folks spread throughout the nation and the world had discovered, I guess, the key to making this truck just a blast and definitely a hoot. And from experience and what I've seen, I can definitely compare it to a lot of other monster RC trucks out there. This one definitely being by far one of the best. Again, that is with a built, upgraded, heavily modified Stampede with an investment in it, not stock. Those are still cool. Don't get me wrong. It's the start, I think. But comparatively in the RC world, I think it's a really kept secret that some people know about, and I think a lot of people don't. And that's the Stampede two-wheel drive is one fantastic RC, straight up. In comparison, what I've seen across the board, it's off the hook. I can't tell you how much blast I have in my trucks. So that being said, here's the build to my third build, and here's kind of the recipe that I have, or the formula that I have for all my Stampedes. Starting out with what you see here, bumper. You get a dinky little bumper with Traxxas. The Stampede two-wheel drive one from RPM is small. T-bone's cool. The RPM or Proline bumper, which is no longer made, which I actually have up there, nice bumper too also, for the Slash two-wheel drive is the way to go. You can see how much the bumper protrudes from the front of the wheels and the protection you get. So when you get a frontal impact, which does happen, curbs do happen, then it doesn't hit your wheels. It doesn't give direct impact to that whole area and prevents a lot of breakage. Arms, suspension pins, caster blocks, etc. Those are the biggest things right there. Bent rims and such too as well. So that's the number one thing is a two-wheel drive slash RPM bumper on your Stampede. Definitely the way to go. A stock two-wheel drive slash bumper is also awesome. It has a nice bounce to it. I found this one works the best for really high impacts, which do happen and have happened. But the two-wheel drive slash bumper stock one actually works, I think, better for low impact. It kind of has a bounce to it that absorbs a lot of the impact. In the middle, aluminum bulkhead is key, as TRC Racing makes the best ones of these from across the board. General thoughts, I guess, if you will, from the whole community, not just my thoughts. Moving on with that too as well. ProTrack Kit. This kit has been something I think that still has kept me into this RC specifically so much because of the vast improvement in handling, where monster trucks handle terribly. With this kit, my actual Stampede is very difficult to roll over with the right suspension adjustments, and so I can make high speed turns. And if I'm not on high traction concrete, then I don't roll over. I'll either spin on low traction concrete, so like the smoother concrete, or on dirt, same thing. It's awesome. If I turn too fast, then I'm likely going to spin and not roll over unless it happens to catch something. That's the ProTrack Kit. The front tower here, as you see here, I think does have a fatal flaw, and that's this top section right here. I think it's weak. I have installed these on my Stampedes, and that is I think it's a rear brace for the triple SCT, and I end up attaching it, and that works fantastically well. I think actually on my Stampede, I think I end up breaking the front tower, and I think there's a crack through it, but it is held on super well. So that was kind of the ProTrack's weak point, and I found the solution. It's worked out really well so far. It's a common Protract Break for any of you guys that run Stampedes with the ProTrack Kit. That's what happens. I'll actually grab an example for you guys right here, and there it is. I thought this tower was smashed, but actually with this I actually can use this tower. What I do is I drill 2 holes in the back right here, one of the very far ends, so it kind of holds nicely to the corners, and it holds the tower very well from this happening right here. I have emailed Proline about this, and they said they were going to pass it on to engineers, whatever. I'm not going to hold my breath to that too as well. But in the meantime, I found a good solution. For those of you who have Stampedes and do not have a ProTrack Kit, I highly recommend that you do get a ProTrack Kit. They are absolutely fantastic. It's one of the cheapest upgrades you can do, and makes a huge difference. You can run 4 front offset wheels instead of the thinner off or the bigger offset in the back, or less I suppose, and bigger in the front. Then with a ProTrack Kit, you can run equal length, so all 4 fronts, making the truck even wider. It's not to mention what the arms themselves actually add to the length, giving you even more width. And one really cool thing about that is you're able to rotate your tires. So when you start to get wear in the back, like I'm starting to get wear on my Proline trenchers, then you can swap them out and you can use those tires more effectively and get more use out of them, like a real car. It actually also does help with handling as well. So that's definitely a key thing and one of the big benefits to it. Why use the front shock tower instead of just an RPM one, which probably would be stronger? Not probably, would be stronger. That's because the ProTrack Kit is not just width with the arms, 11 millimeters in the front, 3 millimeters in the back, total for 26 millimeters in the front, 6 millimeters in the back, plus front offset wheels on the way around. But it changes the suspension geometry. So I think I actually may have a RPM from tower around. No, I don't. Yes, I do. You can see the shock mounting points versus stock, which these, of course, as you guys know, the RPM front bumper or front tower is stock versus the ProTrack. You can see the extra width that you get. That extra width equals a change in suspension geometry. It equals superior handling, far better improvement. I mean, more stability. It's golden. It's key for sure. Moving on here, this is a RPM skid out of a two-wheel drive slash as well. It does not use the mounting point, so what you do is you screw into there, make a hole, and then use a lock nut to lock it in tight. That's definitely really adds on to rigidity. Definitely really helps a lot and absorbs a lot of the impact. Your chassis tend to crack and these stay in place. Also, they are whole, so come time now I'm going to be running in the snow, you can see kind of a nice skid for me to essentially skid over the snow, or rain, mud, whatever. The rear is direct bolt-on, again listed as the / two-wheel drive RPM rear skid. It is a direct bolt-on, no modifications needed here. This is really no big deal. There's two little posts that come in the front. You can quickly Dremel those out or even cut those out. As for servo saver, that's a Kimburo 124 is the black one. It's for, I'm so sorry, this one is not. The one on my Stampede is. This is a Racer's Edge. I actually purchased this one before for my lady's truck and ended up switching out with the purple one. But typically what I would recommend there is a Kimburo 124 black servo saver for a higher torque servo, maybe something above 130, 150. Not that that's too high of torque, but for the servo. And then for low, I would recommend the Kimburo 121, which is white. And that's what I use on my Stampede. And if these break, that's what I'll end up using as well. But they are from Racer's Edge. They match the high-tech servos. Servo, I had a Traxxas 2075 that I had. However, again, I don't want to be jumping with my family, them driving this truck, learning how to drive it, hit something or land, and bust the gears of the servo. I had a terrible time with Traxxas 2075 servos. I had a much easier time with some older, much less rated $15 Futaba S3003s and S3004s than I did with the Traxxas 2075, which is it's far superior in speed and torque. This servo right here is nothing special by any means. It's a $30 Metal Gear servo. It's low as a kite when you see it, driving on a tabletop, but the reason for it too as well is so that it can be abused, because Metal Gear servos hold up much better. When I had my Stampede all hooked up and I had a plastic gear servo in it, which was one of my last upgrades I did on mine initially, way back when, that was the thing that was my weak point. That was the weakest link. It kept popping out. It was a pain in the ass. And so that's definitely one thing I recommend. You don't have to spend a lot of money. It's the same price as Traxxas 2075. Yes, the speeds are slower. If you're not racing, you're not going to know. A basher, you're not going to know, because the speeds on this is actually 0.20, which is god-awfully slow. But when you actually see it in motion, but when you're driving and you're not racing, you're really not going to feel it, especially in a monster truck like this. Not a road car or something like that, around a track. You're not going to feel it. And I've had that experience in my lady's truck. I was scared at first to implement it there, but it's turned out really well. I mean, it seems to steer just like mine does. It's very similar on the way mine steers. Again, for general bashing. So if you have a Stampede, you can get cases for these two. They're not waterproof, and I'll get into that. And yeah, that highly recommend a Metal Gear servo. For someone who's more serious and has a little bit more money, I definitely recommend something like this, which is a SVvox 1258 TG. There's a 1257 TG, and they're very similar. For the bang of the buck, if you got these specs with a high tech, you'd be paying around $140, or a JR. With a SVvox, you end up paying $6-7. Super fast, 0.08 seconds transition time, like 170-ish ounces of torque. Very fast, responsive servo. Super happy with them. I have them in my Rustler. I have Spectrum servo on my Stampede. It's super high torque, but it's actually made from the same people that make the SVvox servos, and they're very similar. So that's actually what I would recommend. Maybe I'll pop this one in there, maybe not. Might say that actually for another build, end up putting the slash or something like that. The slash 4-wheel drive. Moving on back. You guys see the felt here too as well. A lot of people have asked about my NOS bottles. There they are right there. Where I buy them, which is a question I get a lot, I don't. I make them, and there's something that's on all my trucks. If you guys take a look, originally it was for kind of just something to put there, and then actually just to cover that wire of the servo. Reason why, as you see here, typically you got the wires running across on Stampede 2-wheel drives. Here you don't see that. When it's done, you're going to just see the electronics right here, and you won't see the servo wire. Reason why is I do wire underneath. And you see there I use double-sided servo tape and some felt, and too as well, it's some cushion for the battery, and it also cleans it up a lot instead of having a servo wire run across. The only downside is when I do need to take off a servo, which again with a Metal Gear servo does not happen. As I have to, it's harder to do that than just to pop out the wire from top and unscrew it. It takes a little bit longer. Not a huge deal. Show you guys a finished product as well. An example of the notch bottle as well. You guys have seen a lot of my Stampede, or my lady Stampede I built for her. Here's what I'm talking about right here. No servo wire running across to the waterproof box. You just see the wiring coming from up underneath right there. I wire underneath and then I shoot them up. That way it's clean. There's only the wires from this, of course, the speed control and the battery there. There, of course, you see the NOS bottle, and underneath you see the Kimbrel servo saver I was discussing. Slash two-wheel drive front skid again, bumper again. This one actually I do have aluminum tie bar. My ladies as well, but there actually is no blue one for available to sell that I can see, and so I ended up going with that one. Again, this is my main P2 as well, and so yeah, more videos on that on my channel. Going back, rear drive shafts. I've been asked a lot this on my Rustler as well. 100 mile an hour Rustler I've seen. These are not stock drive shafts. These are drive shafts from the Slash or Stampede 4-wheel drive. They are much stronger, much beefier, much thicker, and they have held up extremely well. I run them on 3S, and so far I've only busted one on my Stampede from a rock getting in there and ended up shaving them down, kind of carving them out, if you will, like rotational pottery. Kind of what it looks like too as well. Excuse me. Going back to the front real quick, mention this is probably your first upgrade you want to do on a Stampede, and it's going to be aluminum caster blocks. Yes, you can get RPM ones for caster blocks and carriers. However, people come into the hobby and they think that it's either all aluminum or they think it's either all RPM. It's not that way. You need certain places and certain materials in certain places to either A, stiffen up and retain the impact, or move it along, or B, absorb the impact. So an all aluminum Stampede is not good, or Rustler is not recommended. An all plastic one as well, also not recommended. So RPM does make fantastic parts, but a lot of people who own RPM carriers and casters have switched them out to aluminum and will tell you that they bend pins for days. And so, and then also is going to be a lot of looseness around your wheel. You don't want that. You want stiffness at that location. If it does take an impact, it moves it to the plastic arms, which I have, knock on wood, yet to break a front one. And also it's not going to be bending your suspension pins. Moving on to as well into that, as the suspension pins on the Stampede. What you see here is some STRC lock pins. These are absolutely fantastic, and I think definitely a must as an upgrade. No doubt about it. Besides the screw-in, which you can wear out, or they can pop off, which they do, and I've had up a million times before, where they kind of just like to back off themselves. These use lock nuts, and they do lock in as well. So they are truly fantastic. They are from STRC Racing. I believe the website is teamstrc.com. I get a lot of my stuff from them. This is actually one of my only trucks that has these Traxxas casters and carriers because I had them already. Aluminum hexes, not a required thing, but they're awesome. Instead of having to pop them off and kind of scratch up your aluminum, or with the screwdriver, as you guys may know, these here are screwed in and they lock extremely well, and they stay in place so that when you take off your wheel, your hexes stay in place. They're not going to back up off on you. They're not going to drop the pin, and the spacer are going to fall down, and then you're going to be digging down there looking for them. Again, they're not something I would say this is one of your first upgrades or even a vital one, but they are nice and a good luxury to have. Moving to the back, of course, we got tranny, which I'll eventually be switching out. It's going to be a winter run, so this one's going to have the least issues with heat, and it's going to be cold when I run it. It's going to be wet, and so it's going to have the least issues with heat. I'm going to probably add an aluminum one. I'll debate on it as well. And then on the back, you got the RPM wheelie bar or bumper mount. Very strong. I use them again on all my trucks as well. And the Traxxas one had a tendency to pop out from underneath with the bolts. This one doesn't do that. I've heavily abused these ones too as well. I think I've been through one, but they do get heavily abused, and I put my wheelie bar really high, grind the shit out of them on below because of that when I run over shit. So definitely recommended thing. So essentially that's my PED. That's my blue PED, just for the color, whatever. And its purpose is going to be for winter run. When I started, I put this servo in, and then as for motor system, I took it out of my slash 4-wheel drive that I purchased used actually for a pretty good deal with a lot of upgrades and things. I didn't have to kind of spend money on stock and then get upgrades. It had a lot of upgrades like SVvox servo. It had power strokes, some good stuff. It had actually this motor system, which is almost a $200 motor system, $180 on Tower Hobbies, with the Reedy 3500 kV 550 motor. I believe it's a 4-pole as well. And this is what I was originally going to put in the Stampede, and I still probably will at first. I cleaned this up a little bit the best I could without getting too crazy on it. And too as well, I'm not really digging the whole look of the thing too much. It's got a lot of weird wiring going on here that LRP did. That was what I was going to do first, and still might. I'm still kind of on the border about that right now, especially since I got to make the decision. And yeah, so, but what I end up deciding to do is, if I'm not going to be driving too much with the fam, I'm just going to go straight into it, or I'm just going to go straight into it, period, is I did pick up a Valenion system, brand new from my local hobby shop. And then I also do have a Metal Gear high-tech waterproof servo, again with the Metal Gears. This one is a high-tech 5646. Picked it up from another local hobby shop, which I typically use just one, but they had one in stock at the moment. I was passing by, so but I think I'm just gonna crack into the Valenion. It's gonna look much better than that speed control. And then also, yeah, I think I'll be running that as well, the waterproof and everything like that. So I also like the colors, it matching the blue PED more than I do the other system. Plus there's a truck that the other system can go into as well that just may, that I do kind of want a better one for, but might as well try it out. So there's that. Real quick before I go, I did want to give a shout out to my local hobby shop. Many times I order parts from them when I could get it cheaper online. Unless I can't find it from them, I try them first. Unless they don't have it or can't get it for me, is when I resort to online. I have a fantastic experience with ordering online so far. Only one time I had kind of a little bit of a hassle. Other times it's been a breeze, it's been super quick, oftentimes cheaper. Like this Valenion system I could have gotten from an eBay chop shop for, you know, probably even $50 less. I think is around $100 could have gotten it for. New off of a PED or off of any Traxxas RC that has it, and then they just pull them off and sell them to you, which is how I got my Revo system to get my silver can for my Wrestler. Is from an eBay chop shop, much cheaper, and they're brand new. Still gonna have the warranty. You're just not gonna have basically the package it comes in and the stickers it comes with that. But again, biggest thing for me is supporting local hobby shops. I'm fortunate enough to have a bunch where I live. Even though I don't live in a huge town, I am fortunate enough to have several hobby shops around me. And I kind of wanted to conclude with that. I want to give a shout out to West Valley Hobbies. You know, they hooked me up with some stuff too as well. I'm trying to get something that only vendors can get, which is the ProLine license plate, which has been very difficult. But in the meantime, they've hooked me up with some stuff. We got a SVvox banner right here, which is pretty sick, brand new, that they end up hooking me up with. And then also, which was really dope, was they ended up giving me some t-shirts. They were ordering some new ones in for the employees, so they actually ended up giving me an old one. And here it is here. Thought that was pretty cool. So thought that was pretty special. But what was really cool is they ended up getting their new t-shirts in, and I was essentially the only person that was an employee that ended up getting one. And there's a new one right there as well. So West Valley Hobbies, local, check them out. It's cool. I mean, please don't go in there and ask for t-shirts, because I mean everyone knows my name there, and I spend grip there. I spend thousands there. I've spent thousands there, and I spend oftentimes I walk in there, walk out with $200 worth of stuff. Amazingly enough, I could be buying RCs more, but it's always in parts and smaller things. So yeah, so shout out to them. Support your local hobby shops. Yes, you can get it cheaper online. Yes, it can be fast and convenient. But if there's one available to you, you know, support them, because then that way they can get the commission. The money stays local, and that's something that we can all do more for sure. With that, thanks for checking it out. Oh, one more thing before I go. Just an example. This is all the tags that I have purchased since I started this build. Not all of these are for the Blue Pete. Some of them are also replacements. Some of them are also extras. I often buy extra things that I think I'll need. Replacement parts that I could do on the replacement on the field, or run upstairs real quick if I'm bashing around, or back home and replace. It's a shitload, and there's a lot of money in here. I know that for a fact. And then also what I have to go is this regarding parts. You guys kind of get a hint of what is still going to come. I decided to go with steel links, and then blue RPM guards, and then I'll show you a little bit more before it's done. Some white tie rods. Little hint to what's about to come. So she's almost done. Apologize for the delay, but the camera's working again, and I'll be soon getting myself a much better camera system along with some editing software to make you guys some sick vids. Thanks for checking it out. Please rate, comment, subscribe, and like. Drop by, let me know what's up. I'll check out your videos as well. Make sure you do drop a line, let me know you stopped by. In the meantime, later.